In this week's Parsha, Parshas Vayishlach, as Yaakov is on his way to meet Esau with great trepidation and extremely worried about what that holds for the future of his family, we're told, Vayivosar Yaakov Levado. Yaakov was alone. He was left alone. And the Torah then proceeds to tell us of the epic wrestling match between Yaakov and the angel of Esau. But without even going there, just these words, Vayivosar Yaakov Levado. Yaakov was left alone. So seemingly he was, as we say in Yiddish, a nebuch. He was unfortunate. In Hebrew they call him a miskin. He was an unfortunate person. He's alone. He doesn't have anyone to protect him. And he's all alone without protection. So the angel of Esau starts up with him. You know, when you go to a lousy part of town and you're not there with a group of people, you're there all alone, someone might start up with you and try to hurt you. That's not what it is. That's a shallow way of understanding. The Medrash says there's the word levado here. Yaakov, Jacob is left alone. And then there's the word levado in an incredible verse. V'niskav Hashem levado bayom hahu. God will be left alone in an elevated state in that day. That day referring to the day that we're all waiting for, the day of the future of the world. The world will go into the ultimate purpose, the time of Mashiach, the Messianic era. V'niskav Hashem levado bayom hahu. God will be in this elevated state alone. Not to say that he'll be alone, but he'll be the most significant. In other words, levado over here doesn't refer to a state where he's unfortunately alone, but he's in this elevated state, and therefore there's none like him. Yaakov, the Medrash compares Yaakov to Hashem, Jacob to God. Just as God will have his time, Hashem will have his time of being alone in that elevated state, so too Yaakov is in this elevated state. So why was he attacked specifically in that elevated state? Concept is as follows. One of the great Musar teachers of the 20th century, Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz, explains. He says, and I'll use my own analogy to develop what I believe is what he's saying. We go through stages in life. The first stage in life when we're young is we want to do good. You want to do good. You know how it is when you're a child. You want to please your parents. You want to please your teachers. You try to do the right things. You try to follow the rules. You're very zealous to do the right thing. And what happens is people laugh at you. Your classmates laugh at you. Your parents might even laugh at you. Certainly your siblings do. And you get embarrassed. And suddenly you start learning that maybe doing the right thing, doing good is not all that it's cracked up to be. So you go back to the drawing table. You say, forget about doing good. You know what? I want to look good. You know how you look in the mirror before you leave the house? You make sure your tie looks just right. I actually forgot to do that before this video. I hope I'm okay. You look in the mirror and you make sure your hair is brushed just right. And it's not just looking good on the physical level. We want to look good in terms of we want to look intelligent. We want to look successful. Someone asks a question. You're like, I think I know the answer, but I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm not going to look good. So let me not say anything. You study a concept. The teacher teaches. Does everyone understand? I'm not sure I understand, but I might look stupid, so I'm not going to say anything. Does anyone want the last piece of cake at dessert? How good does it look if you finish the last piece of dessert and you don't think about somebody else? Or maybe nobody else is taking seconds because they're thinking about their figure and you're not. What does that say about you? And so, you know what? I really want it, but I'm not going to take it because looking good is so important in life. And that plagues us throughout our lives. Do I look good? And instead of doing what we should do, we get caught up in that world. But there's a higher level. The highest level is to be good. Not just to do good, certainly not just to look good, but to be good, to be that person of goodness. That's what levado is. Levado is who am I inside? You know, there's one sphere of life, which is how I relate to others. How am I in my relationships? Am I a thoughtful person? Am I a kind person? Am I a good person? What do people think about me? Do people think I'm smart? Do people think I'm cool? Do people think I'm charismatic? What are they thinking about me? That's one realm of life. That's the shallow realm of life. The true, real realm of life where existence occurs is what's going on inside of me. Not do people think I'm cool, but am I a person of tranquility? Am I a person of joy? Am I a person of being satisfied with what I have? Not in terms of what I do out there, but in terms of who I am at my core. The Mishnah famously says in Pirkei Avos and Ethics of the Fathers, who is wise? He who learns from all people. I would say, who's wise? Somebody who's got a high IQ. Somebody who's 4.0 in college. I think those people are pretty intelligent. Somebody gets a 1600 on their SAT. No, the Mishnah doesn't say that. Mishnah doesn't say perfect SAT score and learning from all people. No, that's not how it goes. A chacham is somebody who's lomid mikol adam, learns from all people. In other words, because wisdom, being wise, is not about how much you know. It's about who you are. Are you a lover of wisdom to the point that you learn from everybody? That's somebody who's wise. There was a great rabbi in Washington Heights, New York, Rabbi Shimon Schwab. He's a great Torah scholar. He was rabbi of the German Jewish community in New York, post-World War II. And he had a custom that before the holiday of Shavuot, he would go, they had an elementary school, a high school, post-high school. He would go to every class, and he would ask them some questions on what they were studying. He would share some Torah with them. He comes to the second grade. He must have been about 75 years old at the time. He comes to the second grade, and he asks them what they're studying, and he starts asking them questions. And then one boy raises his hand and says, Rabbi, can I ask you a question? The rabbi says, sure. And he asks him a question about a nuance of why the wording in the pasuk in the verse is worded a certain way. And the rabbi says, you know what? I don't know. I never thought of that before. That's a great question. I got to think about it. And he goes back and he thinks about it and came up with an answer. And that was his sermon to thousands of people on the holiday of Shavuot at the Shavuot service. That's somebody who learns from all people. It would have been easy for him to blow off a second grader. Well, look at this commentary, that commentary, this and that, and would have gone right above the boy's head and dishonestly impressed the boy. Instead, no. I want to know. I learn from all people. A second grader asks a question that I can't answer, I'm going to find the answer. The Mishnah then says, who is a strong person? Who's a person of strength? Who's powerful? Somebody who controls their urges. Being able to bench press a few hundred pounds is pretty powerful. I called my son in Israel tonight. It was about 2 a.m. And as we're talking, I'm hearing something going on the other side. And I said, ooh, what's that noise in the background? I said, hey, Yaakov, are you working out? He said, yeah, I'm doing squats. That's pretty powerful. He's stronger than me. Mishnah doesn't say that's strength. Mishnah says strength is you can control your urges. You can control yourself. Because you know what? You could, God forbid, be in a state, emaciated, weak from illness, God forbid, whatever it is, and you could be a powerful person because you're in control of yourself. That's a quality. That's an inner quality. It says after that, who is wealthy, he who is satisfied with his lot. It doesn't say if you have a $100 billion net worth. It doesn't say if you're on the Forbes 500. It says you're satisfied with your lot because you can have nothing and be wealthy. And you can have everything and be a pathetic human being. I heard a story recently. It's a Hasidic man from New York. Went to Florida on vacation. And he's at some mall. I don't remember which mall. Maybe it was Ball Harbor. I don't remember which mall he was at. And somebody walks by and he turns to his wife and says, I'm pretty sure that's Jeff Bezos. He said, let's go see. And they go back and sure enough, it's Jeff Bezos with I think it's his girlfriend, whoever it was. And as they're watching him, they noticed that at the mall, there was an open area and there are some squirrels there. And for some reason, his girlfriend wanted to give the squirrel something to eat. And there was a store right there that had some nuts. So she took some nuts and she fed it to the squirrel. The squirrels came right up and ate the nuts. And he said, looking at Jeff Bezos, he saw that he was so excited to see the squirrels eating. It was like finally he had a meaningful experience. The man is the richest man in the world. He has everything he wants. But you know what? Meaning is worth more than all of that. Is more meaningful than any of that. Doing something impactful. Being satisfied with your lot is an inner quality. That's something that money can't buy, just like meaning can't be bought by money. And finally, it says, who is a person of honor? He who honors others. You're not honored because you make it on the cover, you make it to the cover of some prominent magazine or newspaper, or you're on the splash page of some website. No, you're honored, a person of honor if you honor others, because that's an inner quality that you have. There's a world that we don't even realize exists. It's called the Olam Pnimi. It's an inner world, not the world as we relate out there, the world inside of us. What's going on inside of that? That's what we have to develop. That's where it's all about. And that's where Yaakov's attacked. I spoke to a friend of mine today going through a very difficult situation in life, extremely painful, emotionally, very, very difficult situation. And I told him, I said, it's at our strengths and our greatest potential that we get tested. I said, there's no doubt if you and your wife are able to work through this situation, this incredibly painful situation for both of them, I said, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll be so much more powerful a person and be able to help so many more people and show them how to deal with these incredible challenges with grace and with poise. Yaakov reaches the greatest, the zenith, the highest point. He's levado. He's like God in the world to come. He's at that highest stage. What happens? That's where he gets attacked, because that's always where it is. When you get attacked, when you feel that and who's attacking you? The internal angel of Esav, the internal Yetzer Hara, the negative part of ourselves. He's attacking our greatest strengths. Don't get demoralized by why I'm getting challenged, why I have certain challenges, why I can't overcome certain things, why I can't be satisfied with what I have or whatever it might be. Don't get upset. Realize that's your greatest point of greatness, and that's why your negative side is trying to deflect that. But develop that inner world. One of my mentors passed away last night, Rabbi Aaron Chadash. She was the mashkiach, the ethical dean of the Mir Yeshiva, somebody who had a tremendous impact on my life. I can't say I learned much from him in terms of books. I can't quote practically anything that he taught me in terms of knowledge and Torah knowledge. But what I got from him is that there's an inner world to work on, and there's sensitivities, and that's what it's all about. The Mir Yeshiva is a place where there are so many, thousands of people coming through the buildings on a daily basis. I remember when I was studying in the yeshiva, they'd caught somebody pickpocketing. He was stealing money from people's jackets. Guys hang their jackets up on hooks when they go to study. And they caught somebody going through the pockets. And what Rabbi Chadash did was he had the person put in a room, and then he had everybody leave the lobby. Nobody was around, and then he escorted the person out and dealt with him however he dealt with him. But that sensitivity to every human being, even to a thief, you have to be sensitive. You can't humiliate the person. That comes from an inner world of I accord honor to others. That's who I am. It's not that I'm a famous, prominent person. It's how I relate to others. The inner world. That's what it's all about. Being good. Not about looking good. Not even about doing good. About being good. Vayivasar Yaakov Levado. The greatest point in life is when you are alone. Don't be scared when you're alone. Being alone is a tremendous opportunity. There's so much to think about. There's so much to work on. What does my inner world look like? Do I even have an inner world? Or am I just focused on my Facebook likes or my Instagram posts or who's responding to my texts? There's a terrible, terrible master that we're enslaved to, and that is our devices, our phones, our iPads. And as a result, we need to be fed. We need to be fed by these likes and this popularity and communication with others, and people reaching out to me and people am I interacting with people. I'm an incredibly social person. I love interacting with people. I get energized by people. But there's another world of just being levado, being alone, getting to know yourself. And do you really like yourself? There's a great rabbi, Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe, once told us that he once gave a talk about developing your own individuality. Gave a talk to a yeshiva. And a short while after he gave the talk, he saw one of the students come in looking very distraught. And he went over to the man, the young man, he said, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And the man said, "I heard the rabbi's talk, and I went for a walk, and I had a thought that just really, really disturbed me. And I came back, and I don't even know what that thought is." And Rabbi Wolbe very wisely said, "I'll tell you what it was. You went for a walk, and you met yourself. And you know what? You didn't recognize him. You didn't know who you are. You know who you are and how you relate to your friends and in your position in yeshiva and your prominence and how people relate to you and all that. Yeah, but who are you? Who are you? What are you all about? Are you all about just being there and when you're alone there's nothing there? Or is there a whole rich inner world of loving wisdom, of being in control of your urges and your thoughts, of honoring other people, of being satisfied with what you have and seeing the blessing within what you have? Is that the world? Then that's greatness. So I invite you to spend some time with yourself this week. I've begun detaching myself slowly by slowly, bit by bit, from my cell phone, and it's been a really interesting experience. And I can go hours. My cell phone and I used to be practically attached at the hip. My cell phone would sleep, or maybe not sleep, but right by my night table, right near my head. And now we spend hours at a time in different rooms. Really interesting. Forces me to get to know myself. I invite you to do the same. And hopefully you like what you see. And if you don't, it's not a problem. Just develop that inner world and you'll come to love yourself. Have a wonderful Shabbos and let me know who you are once you know.